Good morning, FlowChat Connector. Sean here, back at you with another high-ticket tune-up. In this video, we are going to talk about an objection handling technique that will allow you to convert more sales now, all about using your head, your mind game, and your mindset. Stay tuned. This one's going to be fire. Hey, back at you with another high-ticket tune-up, a FlowChat sales training super tip. Today, we're going to dive a little bit deeper into the mindset of things. I got a really killer question that came in from Tom. Tom asked this. He says, Sean, how do I use all these techniques you teach to close the deals? And unfortunately, Tom, you probably can't, right? What my job is to load your gun with a bunch of different bullets, and then it's your job to take those bullets and use them when applicable. And that's the big secret here. One of the things that I wanted to cover today is I want to kind of talk about 3 principles that will allow you to handle any objection that comes your way and close more deals now, because that's obviously way more valuable if you know how to do that. And I think the biggest thing we have to remember is we have to stay human. See, there's all these sales coaches and all these people out there that are teaching these techniques and tips and strategies and NLP and persuasion and convincing and all this stuff when it comes to sales. And the truth of the matter is people buy from people, and people buy from you, and people buy from me, people they like and they trust. And we all know that. And so based on that, what we need to do is just kind of back out of the whole situation and be a little bit more human in the process. Don't try to force some sort of a sales technique down someone's throat, because when you do that, what happens is typically that person will say, oh, you're being salesy, I don't want to talk to you anymore. And I think that's kind of the bigger idea here. And so we don't want our prospects or our potential clients to ever think that we're pushing them down the line, et cetera, et cetera. And so today what I wanted to do is I actually just wanted to really focus on, a couple of things that have truly helped me. And so this is something that we're going to dive into. I think you're going to like it. So here we go. First and foremost, I just want to kind of go through the 3 overviews of the principles. The first one is discover the truth. Like, it's our job as a sales professional to do nothing more than this, right? We want to discover the truth in any one sales call. Secondly, don't defend yourself anymore, right? When you get into a place where someone's throwing objections, hey, why should I buy from you? Why should I buy from you? I'm going to help you cover that one in just a second. But we need to learn how to not defend ourselves. And I have a very disarming and easy technique you can use when you get into that position. And lastly, we need to end the chasing game. There's nothing worse than getting ghosted. You do the most beautiful presentation. You've done all the great prospecting work all the way up to the very end. And then what happens is you get into the sales call, you crush the sales call. And then the guy says, yeah, this sounds pretty good, or probably looks like something I'm going to do. And then you exit the call. Most traditional salespeople just end the call and say, hey, I'll get in touch with you over text or message. We'll set up another time. They say, great. And then that's that, right? So today I'm going to talk about how to end the chasing game. So let's talk about the first one, discovering the truth, right? Here is the definition, right? So what I want you to focus on today when you're having these sales conversations, just let go of the traditional sales goal of making the sale. Don't go out there and try to make the sale. Rather, I'd like you to replace it with a new goal. Discover the truth of your potential client situation, right? What does it sound like? This sounds like, hey, I need to understand if you're a fit to work with us. We have a lot of really kick-ass stuff that we can offer. Let me just ask you a few questions first to see if it's even a good fit, right? And the second thing I put here is kind of get out of your own thoughts. Don't go into a situation thinking it's going to go this way or that way or the next way, because it's probably not, right? And your prospect's going to be the one in you and the conversation that ensues that will drive the direction of the conversation one way or another. And so if we're stuck in our own thoughts, like for example, if we play an entire sales meeting over and over and over in our minds with, this outcome or that outcome or the next outcome, that stuff is all irrelevant because it's not what happens. It's not the truth. It's not reality. And so what we need to do is when we go into a sales conversation, we need to get out of the habit of trying to make the sale or put the deal together or close the thing or whatever, is we just need to understand the truth. It's your job to provide clarity to your prospect with the problems that they may or may not have. Again, discovering the truth in their world, the truth that's going to help them to define, oh my God, I do need a solution and you are the person I want to work with, versus saying, hey, look at this magical feature and benefits set that I have over here and behind me. You need this stuff. You want this stuff. Instead of kind of pushing or persuading somebody that direction, it's much more effective to just say, hey, let me ask you a few questions and see if you actually have the problem that we solve, and just stay out of your own thoughts and see where the conversation conversation goes, because some people are going to love you and some people are not, and that's okay, right? There's 7 billion people on the planet. If one person doesn't like you, it's not the end of the world, right? So the first step there is, again, just get out of making the sale, get into, hey, I got to understand if you actually have the problem I solve or not, because if you do, I can help. If you don't, it doesn't make sense to keep going. And a lot of prospects will respect that and love that. So that's the first thing. Second thing is this: stop defending yourself, right? Stop it. Just don't do it anymore. Let go of using all the persuasion techniques to move your prospect to the next level, and don't ever assume anything, right? Big objection a lot of people say is, oh, hey, I've been looking at a lot of coaching. Why should I choose you? Or in some form of that. And one of the things that I can share with you is that the best response that I've ever used and tested and tried is when somebody says to me, hey, Sean, I was looking at this competitor and that competitor. Why should I choose you? My immediate response is, well, maybe you shouldn't. And then I just pause and they go, what? What are you talking about? Like, you're the worst salesperson ever. Thank you very much. I was trying to do that, right? Maybe you shouldn't. But let me ask you a few questions to see if you actually have the problem that we solve. And if you do have that problem, I can solve it better than anybody on the block. I'm not defending myself. I just need to know if you have the problem or not. Again, my focus is, I'm not saying I'm the biggest, baddest and pounding my chest. And I'm like saying, I don't even know if you have the problem that I solve yet. So for you to say, why should you go with me when we don't even know that stuff, doesn't make any sense. In fact, I have another really good example. Somebody says something like, I'm happy not to make any assumptions that we're automatically a fit together. If you'd be open to it, how about we talk through each of your needs to see how we address them differently, and so you have all the information that you need. Something in that form. I just have it written down here in my notes. Or another one is that, hey, because I don't yet know the truth of this situation, I'm not sure whether or not I can help you, but let me just ask a few questions to see if you actually have a problem that I can solve, right? And that allows you to disarm your prospect. You don't have to defend yourself by going, my stuff is the bigger, better, baddest stuff. Now remember, Russell Brunson always taught me, he said, look, if there's anything that ends in ER, bigger, faster, stronger, that's not what your solution or your product should be, right? It should be different, it should be new, or it should be rare, or all three, right? That's going to allow you to separate yourself truly from anyone else, and you never have to defend yourself at that point, right? So again, that's just kind of the thing that we want to focus on there. So if somebody says, hey, why should we choose you over your competitors? Maybe you shouldn't. Let me just ask you a couple questions though to see if you actually have the problem we solve, because it's pretty irrelevant if we don't, if you don't have the problem we solve. Why should you even be working with a coach? I don't even know if you should be working with a coach. Let's talk about it. And what I've done there is I've pulled that prospect out of his wherever he's at, and now we're going to focus on a real, truthful, remember, discovering the truth. That's step one. Not stop defending yourself. And so we just have to navigate that conversational flow to get to a place where it's neutral, right? And so never assume anything. Someone comes to you, says, hey, look, I've been looking at your tool or your thing, and I know it's probably a pretty good fit for me. This, that, and next. Okay, that's cool. Well, what made you decide that stuff? And then now that person is actually selling to me versus me trying to say, well, great, let's get an order written up. Like that doesn't work, right? What we got to do is check all the boxes, because you're going to have some people that are more optimistic and some people that are pessimistic. The optimistic buyers, the newer buyers, they're going to come out and say, yeah, I want this, I want this, I want this. You're getting in the conversation, you're going to find all these trap doors and all these spider webs that you don't want to be stuck in. And then if you do push them over the line, now you have a really terrible client, and you never actually did that early work in the beginning. And this is what drains the entrepreneurs, and it drains the fulfillment side of any business that's out there. And so going into a sales conversation with a potential client and having very, very much clarity and just focus on, yeah, they got the problem, I could solve it. I know I could solve it. I've not assumed anything. I've gone down the path. I've asked all the questions. I know all the spider webs. We can deal with them. Now let's engage, because the pre-work that you do with a client early prevents burnout and fulfillment later, right? So powerful to know that. I struggled with that for a long time. I just would say yes to every single person that I could get to come over the line and come my way. But what I found was a lot of those people, if not all of them, had some sort of big hangnail that got in the way of the deal, and it really made it hard to do work, and it made me not even like business for a little while. So what I'm sharing with you is, during the preliminary conversations before somebody gives you any cash flow, make sure that you're going to enjoy working with them a long time, and make sure, don't assume that they have everything covered, right? Make sure and ask the questions. Very important. And lastly is this one, and the chasing game. So if we're in that part of that sales conversation where we're like, we've discovered that they have a problem, we've discovered the truth, so we know the truth, we haven't assumed anything, and we've really truly gone down this path of staying focused on making sure that they do have the problem we solve. We've given them clarity on that. Here's the next step: set the next connection before the end of the first one. So every time, no matter what you're doing in sales, before the end of that conversation, set up the next time. Here's a couple of ways you can do that. Hey, man, this is so awesome, Joe. Would you be open to circling back like next week? Because I got to go back and visit with my team and do some couple of stuff. Let's pick up time, okay? Yeah, sure. Or how about this one? Just be a little more direct. This is more of an embedded command. Hey, get out your calendar. Well, why am I getting out my calendar, Sean? Well, you have the problem that I solve, and I need to take this back to my team. I need to do this, and then I want to meet with you in about 3 days because I want to share something that I think is going to really, really make a big impact in your life. So get out your calendar, and then they'll pull out your calendar and take the time to go set that next appointment. When you do this, you will have a boost of about 30 to 40% in sales. I know because that's what I did, and I've taught thousands of people to do the same thing, and it works very, very, very well. And with that said, my friends, you've just been tuned up. I hope this one was valuable for you. Thank you for being here. Please make sure and smash that like button and the subscribe to the channel. I love you forever. You've just been tuned up. Have a great Tuesday. Go kick some ass, and we'll talk to you next time.